Namaste, Hamesha Kushro Bitiya. I am JV and Dr. Minakshi, Assistant Professor in Department of Shalakya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University. Today in this session we will discuss the disease known as glaucoma. Glaucoma, it is not a single disease process but a group of disorders characterized by a progressive optic neuropathy resulting in characteristic appearance of the optic disc and a specific pattern of irreversible visual field defects that are associated with raised intraocular pressure. Thus, intraocular pressure is the Intraocular pressure is the most common risk factor, but not the only risk factor for development of glaucoma. Uh, Consequently, the term ocular hypertension is used for cases having constantly raised IOP without any associated glaucomatous damage. Conversely, the term normal or low tension glaucoma is suggested for the typical cupping of the disc and or over the visual field defects associated with the normal or low intraocular pressure. Then classification of glaucoma. Clinico-etiologically, glaucomas can be classified as the congenital and developmental glaucoma. Second is the primary adult glaucoma. Third is the secondary glaucoma. The congenital and development glaucomas are again subdivided into primary congenital glaucoma without associated anomalies, then developmental glaucomas with associated anomalies, and the second type, the primary adult glaucoma, can be subdivided into primary open angle glaucoma, POAG, primary angle closure glaucoma, PACG, and primary mixed mechanism glaucoma. And then the last, secondary glaucoma, can be subdivided in depending upon the etiology and depending upon the mechanism of raised intraocular pressure. Then comes the epidemiology. The global prevalence of glaucoma, it is 2% of those over the age of 40 years and 10% of those over 80 years of age. POAG versus PACG in different ethnic groups have been shown in this flowchart. Then glaucoma blindness in global, it is 8%, and in India it is responsible for 12.8%. Then an important topic is the pathogenesis of ocular damage or glaucomatous ocular damage. There is an important thing, the retinal ganglion cells, RGCs. The death of the retinal ganglion cells is caused by the various factors. The primary insults, mechanical theory have been given, the vascular insufficiency theory has been given, and by secondary insult, the toxic factors are responsible. The factors involved in the etiology of the retinal ganglion cell death and thus in the etiology of the glaucomatous optic neuropathy can be grouped as the primary insults, which is first is the mechanical theory, raised intraocular pressure. The neurotropins are unable to reach the RGCs due to axonal deformation and ischemia caused by mechanical stretch on lamina cribrosa. So raised intraocular pressure causes a mechanical stretch on the lamina cribrosa, leading to axonal deformation and ischemia by altering the capillary blood flow. And as a result of this, neurotrophins or the growth factors are not able to reach the retinal ganglion cell bodies in sufficient amount needed for their survival, that will lead to the death of the RGCs. Then next is the vascular insufficiency theory. and there is a failure of autoregulatory mechanism and vasospasm, systemic hypotension. The failure of autoregulatory mechanism of blood flow. Uh, the retina and the optic nerve share a peculiar mechanism of autoregulation of blood flow with the rest of the central nervous system. Once the autoregulatory mechanism are compromised, the blood flow may not be adequate beyond some critical range of intraocular pressure. Then next is the vasospasm. Vasospasm is another mechanism affecting the vascular perfusion of optic nerve head. This hypothesis gets credence from the convincing association between NTG and the vasospastic disorders like migraines, headache, and Raynaud's phenomena. Third is the systemic hypotension, particularly nocturnal dips in patients with nighttime administration of antihypertensive drugs has been implicated for low vascular perfusion of optic nerve head resulting in NTG. NTG means normal tension glaucoma. Then the secondary insults, um, the excitotoxicity theory. Neuronal degeneration is believed to be driven by toxic factors such as glucomate. It is called the excitatory toxin and oxygen-free radicals, nitric oxide, which are released when RGCs undergo death due to primary insults. In this way, the secondary insult leads to continued damage mediated apoptosis even after the primary insult has been controlled. In this image, you can see the exactly what is happening in glaucoma. In this image, they have shown either the drain blocks here, either the drainage of the aqueous outflow blocks, or at the optic nerve, had they have shown, or there is poor blood supply here. So these both things damage the optic nerve, and optic nerve looks caved in, like cupped. And they have shown how image will be seen by the patient, and there's characteristic pattern to the loss of visual field. The rim of optic nerve becomes thinner as a disc caves in and becomes more cupped. Then the first type of glaucoma is the congenital and developmental glaucoma. Terminology: the congenital glaucoma are a group of diverse disorders in which abnormal high intraocular pressure results due to developmental abnormalities of the angle of anterior chamber obstructing the drainage of the aqueous humor. Sometimes glaucoma may not occur until several years after birth. Therefore, the term developmental glaucoma is preferred to describe such disorders. The types are primary developmental or congenital glaucoma, and second are the developmental glaucomas with associated ocular anomalies, and third is the developmental glaucoma with associated systemic anomalies. Then the first, the primary developmental or congenital glaucoma can be newborn glaucoma, infantile glaucoma, or juvenile glaucoma. The primary developmental or congenital glaucoma. It refers to the abnormally high IOP which results due to developmental anomaly of the angle of anterior chamber, not associated with any other ocular or systemic anomaly. And depending upon the age of onset, developmental glaucomas are termed as true congenital glaucoma, infantile or juvenile glaucoma. The newborn glaucoma is labeled when IOP is raised during intrauterine life and child is born with ocular enlargement. Infantile glaucoma is labeled when the disease manifests prior to the child's third birthday And juvenile glaucoma is labeled in the rest 10% of cases who develop pressure rise between 3 to 16 years of life. The detail of the primary developmental glaucoma we will discuss in the next session. Thank you so much. This session is powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you're satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will uh, solve the problem. Thank you so much.
Which is the one third of the total refractive power of the eye. It is a 3/4 of the total refractive power of eye. That is, the total refractive power of eye is 60 diopter, and that of cornea is 45 diopter. Then the histology, there are 6 layers: anterior epithelium, Bowman's membrane, central stroma, Dua's layer, Descemet's membrane, endothelium. You can see in this image the epithelium, Bowman's layer, stroma, Dua's layer, Descemet's layer, and endothelium. First, the epithelium. The cornea epithelium is stratified, squamous, and non-keratinized. It is continuous with conjunctival epithelium at limbus, but having no goblet cells. Thickness is 50 to 90 micrometer. Consists of 5 or 6 layers of nucleated cells resting on a basal lamina, namely the basal cells, wing cells, and the surface cells. The basal lamina is secreted by the basal cells. It is 0.1 to 1 micrometer wide. Ultrastructurally, it is distinguished in two parts: lamina lucida and lamina densa. Lamina lucida is superficial, lamina densa is deep osmophilic. Then epithelial turnover. The early study suggested that the epithelium replaced approximately weekly by division of basal cells and the older shell from the surface. It is now recognized that the germinative region lies at the limbus. The stem cells and the cells migrate at a very slow rate to the center of cornea, which may be as long as the ear. Second layer, the Bowman's membrane. It binds the corneal stroma anteriorly with basement membrane of epithelium. It is not a true elastic membrane. Once destroyed, does not regenerate. Shows considerable resistance to infection and injury. Third layer is the stroma, which is 0.5 mm thick. The stroma or substantia propria occupies about 90% of the total corneal thickness. Composed of corneal collagen fibrils, keratocytes, and extracellular ground substances, the lamellae are arranged in many layers, 200 to 250, and are parallel to each other. The anterior one-third stroma has a lamella are thin, and in the posterior two-third of the stroma, the lamellae are larger. Next layer is the Dua's layer, which was discovered by Dr. Harminder Singh Dua at the University of Nottingham in 2013. It is a fourth layer which is 15 microns thick. It is a strong layer and impervious to air. Fifth layer is the Descemet's membrane. It is a strong homogeneous layer. It is a basement membrane of endothelium made up of the collagen and glycoproteins. It is elastic. It can regenerate. It has a resistance to chemical agents, infection, and pathological processes. The peripheral rim of Descemet's membrane is the internal landmark of the corneal limbus, and also it is the anterior limit of the trabecular measure, which is called the Schwalbe's line. Then the last layer is the endothelium. Corneal endothelium is a simple squamous epithelium. Endothelial cells are hexagonal, which forms a continuous mosaic pattern, best seen in specular microscopy. Cell density at birth is 6,000 cells per micrometer square, and in young adults 2,500 to 3,000 cells per square millimeter. The endothelial cells cannot divide or replicate. With aging, the cell density of the endothelium decreases, which is compensated by an increase in the cell size or shape. As these endothelial cells are involved in corneal hydration, they help in maintenance of corneal transparency. The blood supply of cornea. The cornea is a vascular structure. Small loops derived from the anterior ciliary vessels invade its periphery for about 1 mm. Actually, these loops are not in cornea but in the subconjunctival tissue which overlaps the cornea. Then the nerve supply of the cornea. Cornea is supplied by the anterior ciliary nerves, which are branches of the ophthalmic division of fifth cranial nerve. After going about 2 mm in cornea, the nerve loses their myelin sheath and divide dichotomously and forms three plexus: stromal plexus, subepithelial plexus, and the interepithelial plexus. Then the applied physiology of cornea. Primary physiological functions of the cornea are to act as a major refractive medium and to protect the intraocular contents. Then the last point is corneal transparency. It is a result of peculiar arrangement of corneal lamellae, peculiar refractive index of corneal lamellae, vascularity of the cornea, relative state of dehydration, swelling pressure of stroma counters the imbibition effect of IOP, and corneal crystallines, water-soluble proteins of the keratocytes. Thank you so much. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please write in the comment box. I will resolve it. Thank